What's up, people? Unpopular truth. Back with another video. I wanted to discuss a few things. I found this picture right here, and it's covering a couple of things that I think we need to really think about and take in consideration when we talking about a better era, who got the most skills, who are better players, who's stronger, who's faster. It's this picture covers a lot of that, right? And it covers something. One thing I want to start off that we can see the Wilt Chamberlain one. That one's really not that significant, but everything else is pretty significant, right? Every other picture is pretty significant, because let's get this understood. One of the biggest things people try to talk about these days is players can shoot the three ball better now, and they try to make that a plus for this era. But it doesn't make any sense, because if you see with the picture of Larry Bird, right? The picture of Larry Bird tells a lot about that statement that doesn't even make sense, right? Because you try to hold a standard or try to belittle somebody for not being able to shoot threes as good as people now, when, as you see, the birth and evolution of the three-point line was in 1980. Read that again. The birth and the evolution of the three-point line was in 1980. So what is that telling you, right? What is that telling you? They're telling you players before 1980 didn't even have a three-point line, right? So if you don't have a three-point line, you're not used to shooting three-pointers at all until you start until the league gets acclimated to it. So a lot of people like to say before, when Michael Jordan, because they like to talk about this with Michael Jordan for some odd reason, he wasn't good at three-point shooting. Well, at that time, because Michael Jordan came, this is 4 years. He came in the league in 1984. That was his first year, 84 to 85 season. That was his first year, right? That's 4 years. That's 4 years before the three-point line was even considered, right? He only had 4 years to even think about a three-point line. Before then, they did not have a three-point line. If you go back and look at Michael Jordan in college, they did not have a three-point line. Nobody, and it seems as though people are very naive and very manipulative when they go to talking about that. They don't even think about that. The man didn't even have a three-point line until he was a freshman in college. They didn't even have three-point lines. So he coming out of college not having to even work, not even knowing what a three-point line was, because they didn't have one. But you judge him to say that he couldn't shoot three-pointers, or he didn't shoot three-pointers, therefore he can't shoot them. But he didn't have to shoot them. It wasn't a three-point line. So now when he comes into the league, he only got a certain amount of years that he even had a three-point line. And in college, they really still didn't shoot the three like that. But y'all try to hold that against him. Oh, LeBron James shot a better three-point shot than Michael Jordan. Well, LeBron James always had a three-point line. Since he been born, he always had a three-point line. He was able to implement that into his game the whole time. Michael Jordan had 4 years. He come into the league, and that's not his game at that time. Man, used to me shooting. I'm scoring a lot of points without shooting the 3-point. It didn't matter. And then they say it like it's when they don't even think about it, right? So when you go to talking about Michael Jordan, see, that's why Michael Jordan is so different than anybody else. He's so different than anybody else because he didn't need a 3-point line. He didn't need 3-pointer. Do y'all realize when this man came in the league, he was scoring 28 points a game without a 3-pointer? I'm talking about this rookie year. Nobody has ever done it. 28 points per game. His rookie year. That's without a 3-pointer. Now that's his rookie year. And people don't even know how great that is. His rookie year is really never really been a player that does that. But they act like that's not great. He really could have been the MVP that year. He really could have been the MVP that year. But let's not, we ain't gonna go there right now because that's for another tape. That's for another video, right? The next year he gets hurt. He broke his foot. Like the 3rd or 4th game of the season. So that whole year is depleted for him. But he came back with 19 games to go. And he played the rest of that season. The 19 games. That's the only thing he played. Right? And people try to count that year with him. They try to count that like he played a whole year or something. Think about it. This man is 5th in scoring, and he didn't even play 1 year. That's crazy. But we ain't talking about that right now. But the thing was the 3-point line. The next year he comes back. This is off the broken foot. The next year this man comes back. Guess how many points does he average without a 3-point? Without shooting threes like that, right? Guess. 37 points a game. Without shooting 3-pointers. Listen to what I'm saying right now. He's scoring 37 points per game. Without shooting 3 points. With a league where a big man can stay in the paint. With a league where the people are hitting you. You're having resistance. Hand checking. I'm talking about a lot of teams trying to knock him out the air, trying to hurt him. This man still was scoring 37 points per game for a season. This is essentially his 2nd season because he broke his foot his real 2nd season. This is his 2nd season in the league, and this man scored 37 points per game. This is not 1 game. This is not 10 games. He averaged this. You know how many points you have to be scoring to average 37 points per game in a season? Wilt Chamberlain did it. He did 50. He did 50 1 year. But we ain't going to talk about that. I give him his props. He did 50. But 37 points per game. We just talking about Jordan right now. 37 points per game. Oh, that was a fluke. Everybody know that was a fluke. We ain't even going to talk about that. That's a fluke, man. That's a fluke. Guess what he does the next year? 35 points per game. Without shooting threes like that. And that's what people don't understand about trying to compare his game. You try to break down his game, but by you breaking it, trying to break him down or or point out something that he couldn't do, you really making it his aura and his legacy greater, because he didn't even shoot threes and he averaged 37 points 1 year, and then the next year come back and average 35. Think about that, man. That is crazy work. That's crazy. Now, again, I wanted to touch on to talk about that 3-point line thing, because it's very significant in people's arguments. Because if you didn't have one, why would you shoot it? It was no purpose of shooting it. You didn't have one to shoot. So your game is not even worried about a 3-point line. I didn't need one. I still was averaging 37. I didn't need one. I still was averaging 35. Like, let's talk about that in a league where they could touch you. They can move you the way they wanted to. You had to find a way to score. It wasn't just no, I'm letting you score. I can't touch you. I can't bump you. No, all that. The flagrant fouls today was just regular fouls back then. The regular fouls today was no fouls back then. Think about that. Regular fouls today was not called back then when he was playing, and this man averaged 37 and 35. And he averaged 30 the rest of his career. Except the last 2 years in Washington. That really knocked down his average. If he didn't do the 2 years in Washington, he might have averaged, they might be saying Michael Jordan averaged 33 points per game for his whole career. For his whole career. Now, let's talk about the second. In 1991, implementing the flagrant foul. Now, you see what year that is. That's 91. That's when they did it. He won his first one. He won his first championship in 91. All right? From 84 to 90, there was no flagrant fouls. Think about that. From 84, this is when I'm just going by when he was in the league. From 80, well, we go to 80. From 80 to 90, 1990, it was not called a flagrant foul. So they was hitting people like this, and it was just a regular foul. Look at this man. He knocking his head over. They knocked him out the air. They did all type of things to Michael Jordan. They did all type of things to Michael Jordan to try to stop him. That's what the Jordan rules were. Don't let him jump in the air, and if he jump in the air, take him out the air. That's what the rules were. And this man kept going in there. That what was crazy. He kept going in there. He didn't care. I'm still gonna do it. This is what I do. I ain't settling for no 3 points with y'all. I'm still going to the hole. And right here is the biggest reason why I know we can't consider any of the players today more skilled than the players back then. Because, for one, you couldn't push off like the day's NBA players. You pushing off was an automatic offensive foul. Automatic. But the defense could kill you. Think about that. You couldn't do nothing but maneuver, dribble, try to use your speed, try to use a crossover, try to use something to get away from the defense, but they could hit you. They could touch you with their hand. They can move you with their hands. They could move you with their hands. But you couldn't do nothing to them but score or try to score. Think about that. Nowadays, it's reversed. It's totally reversed. The defense can't do nothing to you. You can draw contact to them. You can jump into the defense. You can push off. You can do everything to the defense, but they can't do nothing to you. How do you think that you are better than somebody that had to go do the opposite? They had to do the exact opposite. They had to do the exact opposite. It's crazy. Now, let's go. I don't even know if I talked about that enough. I think it's so significant that people don't understand. Resistance is the reason why the NBA sucks today. It's none. It's no resistance. It's no defense being able to be played. It's nobody that you can say that's a lockdown perimeter defender. When the last time y'all heard about Marcus Smart? You don't hear about Marcus Smart no more. Because he really can't do anything. You got to move your feet in it. And like I say, that's great defense being able to move your feet. Don't get me wrong. But he can push them. I mean, they can push him. They can make the contact with him and he get the foul called on him. It's not even him making the contact with them. They can make contact with him and he getting the foul called on him. It's literally no such thing as an offensive foul no more. Or I ain't gonna say it's not a such thing. They just ain't calling it. That's just like it's traveling in the book is self-explanatory. It's no way to get out of saying the stuff that they doing today is not a travel. But the only thing that is going on, the only thing that we're seeing is traveling. And you know why? Because they just don't call it. It's not that it's not in the rule book anymore. It's not that it's not in the rule book. It's not that the referees don't see it. They just won't call it. Because it's more giving the offense an advantage over the defense. I don't know why if they so great, I don't know why they need this much of an advantage over the defense. They so skilled though. They can carry the ball, they can walk, they can do whatever they need to do to say that they so skilled. And people say they more skilled. I don't get it. Now, if you had to go against the defense back in the day and you didn't do this stuff and you was looking better than back in the day, that would be different. That would be way different. But you're not having to go against the defense and you're doing illegal. Technically, everything you're doing is illegal. That step through mess is totally illegal. It's nowhere in the book where it said that you can do that. The rules do not say that you can do the step through. And if it's another book that got something to do with traveling, I would like to see it. But it's nowhere in the rule book said that you can do a step through. It's nowhere. They try to manipulate the rules and try to say it don't say that, but it actually does say that you can't do this stuff. It don't necessarily say you can't do a step through, but it's saying you can't lift your pivot foot off the ground without shooting or passing. It says that in the rule book. So you have no resistance You doing illegal stuff, but you saying you more skilled. You can carry the ball, have your hand up under the ball, but back in the 90s, you couldn't have your hand up under the ball. They barely was letting you put it on the side. It's the rules, it's not the players is better. Imagine they could have, if the players in the 90s could have had the ball up, their hand up under the ball, they would look the same. It wouldn't be no difference. It would be no difference. But it wasn't in the rules. I ain't gonna say it wasn't in the rules. They was calling it. The rule book, the dang referees was darn near calling the rules to the T. If they seen you doing anything that looked like it, they was calling it. It wasn't no step through. You had to keep that pivot foot down. You can do a pump fake and step that non-pivot foot through, and you had to still jump off 2 feet. You had to still jump off 2 feet. Or it had to look so close that the referee couldn't call it. And everybody knows that. Now, in 2002, they legalized zone defense. Now, I don't know how much that did, because they still weren't able to be in the paint. So if you had a zone, you had to still be outside of the paint. You can get in for 3 seconds and jump back out. Get in for 3 seconds and jump back out. So I don't know how much that really did for the league or whatever, but I guess. Now, this is one of the most significant ones, and it's pretty much going back to the fouling and stuff like that in 91. So 2005, they took away hand checking. So now you have no resistance at all. Only thing you can do is move your feet, which I'm not mad about it, to be honest with that. But the only thing I'm mad about is people trying to say that this generation was better at basketball when they don't have that type of resistance. You can't say you was better than me and somebody was fouling me, technically now. So you got something considered a foul now that wasn't then, and they could do it all game. Think about it. They could hand check you all game. Then after 2005, they couldn't hand check you no more. Which one would require the most skills to score off of? I'd like somebody to tell me that. Which one, somebody being able to hand check you or somebody not being able to touch you at all, which one would take more skill to score on? But you want to say that they more skilled today? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all that you would think that would be more skilled. That somebody could foul you technically according to today's rules. And at this time they couldn't, it wasn't called a foul. They could do it legally. It was legal to hand check back then. But y'all want to make it make sense to say this generation is better or more skilled. Of course I'm going to look better if I ain't got no resistance. If nobody can't touch me, I'm going to look great. And I can push them. So they took away hand checking, but they made it where the offense can push off. The offense can push off. The defense can't do it no more, but the offense can. And if the offense hits you, it's foul on you. It's not a foul on them. It's foul on you. As the defensive player. This is the most craziest era in thinking and everything. It's just crazy that they think this is better basketball or they better. You can't, it makes no sense. Now, do they shoot more? They just shoot more. They technically ain't shooting better. They just shoot more. The game going a little faster. That's it. Because they ain't doing them, but they get to the 3-point line, they shoot. If they get an overshot, they shoot. That's the only thing they doing. It ain't no strategy behind their stuff. There's no strategy in the game today. There's no IQ. Everybody want to talk about it. Like I said, I hate to even mention this man, but he's the issue where people don't make stuff mediocre. They made everything mediocre for him. And it's LeBron James. He made a standard where you don't have to get better. You gotta look like you just gotta have numbers. If your numbers look almost a triple double, you're a good player. You're a great player now in days. But that wasn't the goal at these times. Before 2000 and let's say 2010, the goal was always to win championships. It was not about your stats. Now, if your stats just so happen to equate to winning, everybody loved it now. Don't get me wrong. It's going to look better. But the winning was the goal. Winning was the goal. I bet you any money. See, people don't understand about Kobe and Michael Jordan. Or players back in the day. If they only had to score 20 points a game to win, they would have took that. Because it was still winning. But that wasn't the case on the teams that they had. Michael Jordan teams and Kobe teams made them have to elevate their game. Because everybody want to try to act like because the Bulls won in the 90s, that the team was just so great. I'm telling y'all, and like I said, I don't like to knock players, but when we actually talking about great players, the Bulls, especially the first three championships, were not a great team. They just were not. They were not. It's just what it was. Everybody try to make Scottie Pippen higher than what he actually was. Don't get me wrong, Scottie Pippen was a good player. He was a good player. But if he was that great, Michael Jordan wouldn't be having to score no 40 points in no playoffs. This man wouldn't have to average no 30 points throughout his career. Scottie Pippen averaged like 16 points throughout his whole career. So when y'all trying to make Scottie Pippen so great, now he did play good defense. He played great defense. We take that for granted. A lot of people take defense for granted. Don't get me wrong. That's a great thing. He played great defense. But it wouldn't have mattered without Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, like I tell folks, now it's a fact that Michael Jordan never won a championship without Scottie Pippen. It's a fact, right? But let me tell y'all something. And this, I don't even understand why this is not the most talked about thing anyway when they go to talking about Scottie Pippen. It's other players that could have been in Scottie Pippen's place. And Michael Jordan would have still won. Let's be honest. It was players back then that you could have put in Scottie Pippen's place and Michael Jordan would have won with them. Scottie Pippen was doing nothing that was out of the ordinary. He played great defense, but players still did their thing. Now don't get that twisted. Even Michael Jordan, some players still scored on Michael Jordan a lot. When you got an NBA player 1-on-1, it's rare that you're gonna be able to stop them defensively, just shut them down. It's rare. I'm gonna be honest with you. So it wasn't nothing that was super special that Scottie Pippen did that we can say, oh, yeah, he couldn't have had another player to do that. Who? Why? It was several players out there that could have been a small forward for the Bulls, and they still would have won. If they got their chemistry right, they still could have won. So, with all that being said, man, we got to really think about what are we grading folks on to say that they better. If you don't have resistance and I got resistance and I'm doing better than you still, think about that. If we try to compare Michael Jordan and LeBron, which I still don't understand why we started that. It was crazy. It still is crazy. But if we took away all this stuff for you, by the time you get it, it's no resistance. The NBA is pretty much just letting you do whatever you want to do. You getting all the players that you want. You getting all-star, superstar players on your team to play with you. And you think that you doing something better than a man that has to cover up his team flaws? This is what's happening, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna do another video on this, man. I'm gonna stop this video right here. Y'all like, share, subscribe, man. I appreciate y'all. Peace.